Horizon Forbidden West has been out for a while now as of the release of this video, and I have a lot I want to say about it. I was a big fan of the original, and I went as far as to platinum it and get all the DLC trophies. And after about 87 hours, I platinumed this game as well, if that tells you anything. This game really scratched every itch I had for the past few years since the original game came out, and I loved it so much I wanted to review it. Let's start by getting into the story of HFW. Horizon Forbidden West picked up where Zero Dawn left off and continues the story on westward in the United States. You are accompanied along the way with familiar faces from the previous game, and like in any good open world sequel, you of course meet many more interesting characters.
So let's hear it.
I'm gonna need some help, Aloy.
I think the story in Horizon Forbidden West outclasses the original. The characters and villages you visit are filled with so much personality, diversity, and unique characteristics that I find myself getting wrapped up in multiple side quest lines instead of playing the main story a lot. Though that's no diss to the story. This is a game you do not want to end, and honestly it seemingly doesn't for a long time, and I really dug that about the game. The story has a few twists, turns, and hardships to overcome that I'm sure would entertain any sane person. A lot of the entertainment value comes from the actors too. They really killed it in this game. The facial animation in the original for the scale and the amount of NPCs wasn't that bad in my opinion, but this game really addressed the criticisms that people had about the previous game tenfold.
Planted in plain song. They must be given to the river, to be carried to distant lands.
Every NPC you speak to looks alive, and it's fantastic. They have their own unique movements and mannerisms, and it feels like you're watching a movie. And I mean that in the best way possible. Some people think that is a downside, but honestly, in this day and age, I don't see a point in having a story if you don't plan to have some sort of cinematic value. Another thing to note is how different each area is in terms of merchants and other shops. They don't all sell the same thing, and as you progress through the game to the west, they don't always sell the upgraded version of an item you may want. Thankfully though, you can just mark whatever you want as a job and you will know where to find it when you want to buy it or when you have the means to buy or craft it. And it's a pretty neat feature that came from Zero Dawn, and I'm glad to see that it made its way back into Forbidden West. Combat has evolved quite a bit from Zero Dawn. Melee doesn't feel quite as stiff, and projectile weapons have many more variations than the previous game. I've heard some say that it could be overwhelming, but honestly I don't see it. You can put a small or large amount of weapons in your weapon wheel, and you only need to understand that you need a new weapon when your current gear isn't meeting all of your needs. For example, I have a sling that can proc acid, adhesive, and purge water. None of these do any real physical damage, but there's a sling that can shoot bombs, cluster bombs, and proc freeze. That would be way more useful against an enemy that's weak against explosive damage or freeze, so I equip it if I want. There are new coil mods that can range from adding a little bit more damage as a direct result of your attack, or you can get a coil mod that's utility is to instantly proc a status effect, which I find super interesting. There are even outfits that specialize in different abilities that augment weapons and other combat abilities such as hunting, stealth, trapping, and more. But that's just touching the surface. This game goes deep with this new revamped weave and coil system. If you were to get a weapon that gives bonus damage for being in stealth, and you equipped an outfit that has a weave that also gives you a further bonus damage for stealth, you could essentially kill or severely damage your target very easily. And it's not just stealth that this applies to. You also have many new alternate firing methods for all of your weapons that use stamina. I was a little iffy about it because one of the abilities did not use stamina in the previous game, but I got over it once I realized how powerful some of these abilities are.
Give it a rest first till I get my stamina back.
Then there are the Valor Surges, which are very special playstyle defining techniques that can turn the tide of battle when you're in trouble, or be used to simply stack the odds against your opponents. Many of them have a ton of great uses. My favorite of all of them is the Stealth Stalker ability that allows you to turn invisible and get sneak attacks on your enemies, or again allows you to augment your stealth damage. There are so many different combinations of outfits and weapons that you can really customize Aloy to fit your needs in a combat sense and visually. There's plenty of different colors that you can add to your costumes now, and face paints are something that are unlocked in the first game instead of New Game Plus like the original game. Forbidden West is the most gorgeous game I've ever played. Zero Dawn was great, but the devs really outdid themselves. There's so many different climate zones and biomes in Forbidden West. You have mountaintops, tundras, forests, meadows, jungles, beaches, underwater areas, rainforests, etc. The world is so beautiful that there is no wonder why the game's name is Horizon. There are so many times throughout the game where I just want to stop and look at what's going on around me. I do love the combat a lot, but I also love going to walk around in random areas just to see how it looks in different times of the day. There's rarely a time where I could say in the past that I've found a game like this where I just want to get on just to walk around. And I know what you might be thinking, Vicious, you're a graphics whore. It's not really so much about being a graphics whore, it's just about appreciating good graphics. I think that you can drink alcohol and appreciate a good wine and not be an alcoholic. So by transitive property, of course, I believe that you can appreciate how good something looks without being a graphics whore. After beating Horizon, I still had a ton left to do, even though I prioritized side content. I still found myself trying to upgrade gear that I never upgraded, and that in itself is still super fun. From start to finish, I have fell in love with the game, and honestly, it is one of the best games I feel like I have ever played. There are some minor issues that I have with the game, like how I feel like Melee can still be improved, but I do feel like Melee is still serviceable if you have a costume and a weapon set that can complement the Melee playing style. Now take this with a grain of salt. I know that I'm a huge fan of the original Horizon and the Horizon series in general, but honestly, I feel like the flaws I find in the game do not take away from the overall experience in the slightest. I give Horizon Forbidden West for the PS5 a 10 out of 10. This is peak open world gaming. We just need New Game Plus to be patched into the game, and it's even better than a 10. You can experience the whole fantastic game all over again like it's new. Hey, if you've been with me so far, I just wanted to tell you thanks for watching my full review. And if you want to see more content like this, don't be afraid to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Later.